right now, as you are watching this screen, there is a silent, completely painless process happening inside your body. It is a process that you cannot feel, you cannot see, you cannot measure just by looking in the mirror. But if you are over the age of 50, there is a very high probability that the filters keeping your blood clean and your heart beating are slowly dying. I know that sounds terrifying, but I need you to listen to me very carefully. Your kidneys are the unsung heroes of your entire physical existence. They are the master chemical plant of your body, and yet most people treat them like a trash can. Most people do not realize this until it is too late, but kidney disease is known in the medical community as the silent killer. Why? Because you can lose up to 80% of your kidney function before you ever feel a single symptom. Let me repeat that because it is the most important thing you will hear today. You could be operating on just 20% of your kidney capacity right now, and you would still feel perfectly fine. You would still go to work, you would still play with your grandchildren, you would still eat your dinner. But then, one day, you wake up. Your ankles are swollen. You feel incredibly tired. There is a strange metallic taste in your mouth. You go to the doctor, they run a simple blood test, and suddenly your entire world collapses. You are told you have stage 4 chronic kidney disease, and you need to start preparing for a lifetime tethered to a dialysis machine. I have been practicing medicine for over 40 years. I have sat across the desk from thousands of patients, holding their test results, watching the color drain from their faces when I deliver this news. I have seen this mistake destroy lives, tear families apart financially, and strip away the golden years of retirement that people worked their whole lives to enjoy. And the absolute worst part about this, the tragedy that keeps me awake at night, supplement. In almost every single case, it was entirely preventable. It was not bad genetics. It was not a random stroke of bad luck. It was what they were putting on their dinner plates. Day after day, decade after decade. If you care about your health, want to understand what is silently harming your body, and are ready to learn the truth about living a longer, stronger, and healthier life, then subscribe to Longevity Lane with Dr. Mandell. Here we reveal the health truths most people discover only when it is already too late. Today we are going to draw a line in the sand. I am going to reveal the specific everyday foods that you are likely eating right now. Foods that are actively suffocating your kidneys. And I promise you, some of the foods on this list are things you have been tricked into believing are actually healthy. But before we get into the kitchen, you need to understand the mechanism of the trap you are falling into. Imagine your kidneys as a million microscopic coffee filters. Their entire job is to let the good stuff, the nutrients, the proteins, the clean blood pass through while trapping and flushing out the toxins, the excess water, and the waste. When you are 20 years old, those filters are strong, elastic, and practically indestructible. But as we cross the threshold of 50, those filters naturally begin to stiffen. They become more delicate. They cannot handle the heavy chemical loads they used to. When you force them to process toxic dietary sludge, those delicate filters literally scar over and die. And once a kidney filter dies, it never comes back. It is gone forever. First major offender we need to completely eliminate from your life is something I see everywhere. I am talking about foods loaded with dark, artificial phosphorus. Now, phosphorus is a naturally occurring mineral. You find it in beans, nuts, and dairy. When you eat natural phosphorus, your body regulates it perfectly. It absorbs what it needs for your bones and passes the rest. But the food industry has done something incredibly dangerous. To make processed foods last longer on the shelf, to give certain drinks their dark, appealing color, they pump them full of artificial inorganic phosphorus additives. I am talking about dark sodas. I am talking about those pre-packaged deli meats, the ones that stay seemingly fresh in plastic for a month. I am talking about fast food burgers and heavily processed cheese products. Artificial phosphorus is not bound to protein like natural phosphorus is. Because of this, when you consume it, your body absorbs nearly 100% of it instantly. It hits your bloodstream like a tidal wave. For a young person, the kidneys might scramble and manage to flush it out. But if you are over 60, this is critical. Your aging kidneys simply cannot process that volume of inorganic chemicals. The phosphorus backs up in your blood. It starts pulling calcium directly out of your bones, leaving you prone to fractures, and it deposits that calcium right into your blood vessels and your kidney tissue, turning them stiff and brittle. I had a patient, let us call him Arthur. Arthur was 64, a retired mechanic and a wonderful man. He never drank alcohol, never smoked, but he loved his dark diet sodas. He thought because they had 0 calories, he was making a healthy choice. He drank 3 or 4 a day. When he came to me complaining of deep bone pain and overwhelming fatigue, his lab results were a nightmare. His kidneys were functioning at barely 30%. The inorganic phosphorus from his healthy diet drinks had essentially calcified his microscopic kidney filters. See, what people usually do wrong is they look at the sugar content on a nutrition label, but they never look at the ingredients list for words containing PHOS, like phosphoric acid or hexametaphosphate. What you must do instead is transition to clear beverages, water with a squeeze of fresh lemon, herbal teas, or at the very least, clear sodas if you must have carbonation. But those dark, chemical-laden drinks must go down the drain today. Moving on to the second completely normalized kidney destroyer. We need to talk about the hidden sodium bombs in your pantry. I know you have been told to put down the salt shaker, but let me tell you a secret. The salt shaker on your dining table is not the problem. Only about 10% of the sodium Americans consume comes from the salt they add to their food. The massive supplement lethal dose of sodium comes from canned goods, specifically canned soups, broths, and frozen dinners. Let me explain exactly why high sodium is a death sentence for your kidneys. Your kidneys rely on a very delicate balance of sodium and potassium to pull excess water out of your bloodstream and into your bladder to be excreted as urine. When you consume a massive amount of sodium from a canned vegetable soup, which can easily have 1,000 milligrams of sodium in just 1 cup, you destroy that balance. Your kidneys can no longer filter out the water. So, the water stays in your blood. The volume of your blood increases. This physically stretches and blows out the delicate blood vessels inside your kidneys. It is like turning a garden hose on full blast while holding your thumb over the end. The pressure builds and eventually the microscopic vessels burst and scar. High blood pressure is the second leading cause of kidney failure in the world, and this dietary sodium is the match that lights the fire. A few years ago, a woman named Eleanor came into my clinic. She was 58 and trying to lose weight. So she started eating canned minestrone soup for lunch every single day. She thought she was doing her body a favor. Dr. Mandell, she said, I am eating my vegetables. I am avoiding bread. But her blood pressure was skyrocketing and her kidney function was plummeting. She was inadvertently flooding her system with industrial levels of sodium. What people do wrong is trust the word healthy or heart smart on the front of a can. Those are marketing terms, not medical endorsements. What you should do instead is make your own large batches of soup at home using fresh ingredients and freeze them. If you absolutely must buy canned or boxed broths, you must read the back label and look for strictly no salt added varieties. Your kidneys cannot handle the hydraulic pressure that industrial sodium creates. Now, let us discuss the third dietary trap, and this one is going to shock a lot of you because it directly contradicts a massive trend in the fitness and health industry right now. I am talking about the extreme high protein, meat heavy diets when sustained over the age of 50. Do not misunderstand me. As we age, protein is absolutely vital to maintain muscle mass and prevent frailty. But there is a very dark side to the modern obsession with eating massive, unnatural quantities of red meat and relying heavily on synthetic protein powders. When you digest protein, your body creates a waste product called urea supplement. It is the kidney's job to clear this urea from the blood. When you consume a moderate, natural amount of protein, your kidneys handle it with ease. But when you are eating 16-ounce steaks, slamming down 3 scoops of whey protein isolate, and snacking on processed beef jerky all day in the name of a low-carb lifestyle, you induce a state called glomerular hyperfiltration. This means your kidneys are forced to shift into overdrive, working at maximum physical capacity, 24 hours a day, just to clear the massive buildup of nitrogenous waste. Imagine driving a car in first gear at 80 miles an hour on the highway. Yes, the engine will do it for a little while, but eventually the engine is going to smoke, seize up, and completely destroy itself. That is what you are doing to your kidneys. I had a patient, a former high school football coach named Marcus. At 61, he decided he wanted to get his youthful physique back. He went on an extreme carnivore-style diet, eating almost nothing but red meat and eggs. Within 8 months, he was in my office. He felt nauseous all the time. His breath smelled like ammonia, a classic sign of uremia, where waste products build up in the blood, and his kidney markers were deeply alarming. He was literally suffocating his kidneys with nitrogen waste. What people do wrong is they think more protein equals more health. They forget that the organs processing that protein are aging. What you must do instead is focus on high-quality, easily digestible proteins and portion control. Shift your focus toward plant-based proteins like lentils and beans, which are much gentler on the renal system, or stick to a piece of fish or chicken no larger than the palm of your hand per meal. Give your kidneys a chance to rest. The fourth major threat to your kidney health is something deeply insidious. It is the overconsumption of foods insanely high in oxalates, specifically when people try to adopt a superfood lifestyle without understanding the chemistry of what they are drinking. Every day, millions of people over 50 throw massive handfuls of raw spinach, almonds, and beet greens into a blender, mix it with almond milk, and drink a massive green smoothie, thinking they are drinking the elixir of life. Here is the terrifying truth. Foods like raw spinach, almonds, Swiss chard, and rhubarb are loaded with a compound called oxalic acid. In normal, small culinary amounts, like a side salad, your digestive system handles it. But when you pulverize massive quantities of these raw foods and drink them daily, you flood your bloodstream with oxalates. As these oxalates pass through your kidneys, they bind with calcium. When calcium and oxalate meet in the kidneys, they form jagged, razor-sharp crystals. These are kidney stones. Now, passing a kidney stone is often described as more painful than childbirth. But the pain is not the only problem. When these sharp stones form, they create micro lacerations inside the delicate kidney tubes. They cause bleeding, they cause severe inflammation, and if they block the flow of urine, cause the kidney to swell and sustain permanent, irreversible tissue death. I treated a woman named Clara, 66 years old, a dedicated yogi who prided herself on her holistic health. She drank a massive raw spinach and almond butter smoothie every single morning for 3 years. She ended up hospitalized with multiple obstructing kidney stones that required surgical intervention. She permanently lost 10% of the function in her left kidney due to the scarring. I have seen this mistake destroy lives of people who were actively trying to be healthy. What people do wrong is assuming that because a food is a plant, consuming an unlimited quantity of it is safe. What you should do instead is rotate your greens. If you love smoothies, use kale or romaine lettuce, which are incredibly low in oxalates. If you eat spinach, cook it or boil it first, which significantly reduces the oxalate content, and always ensure you are drinking plenty of plain water to dilute any crystal formation. Finally, we arrive at the fifth and perhaps most widespread destroyer of kidney function. It is not just about sugar. It is specifically about high fructose corn syrup. This cheap liquid sweetener is pumped into salad dressings, breads, juices, yogurts, and practically every packaged snack on the supermarket shelf. You already know that sugar causes weight gain and diabetes. And yes, diabetes is the #1 leading cause of kidney failure globally. High blood sugar acts like shards of glass, tearing up the blood vessels inside the kidneys. Fructose does something even more sinister, something entirely independent of diabetes. When your liver metabolizes massive, unnatural amounts of liquid fructose, it produces a byproduct called uric acid. You might associate uric acid with gout, that incredibly painful swelling in the big toe. But before uric acid ever reaches your toe, it has to be processed by your kidneys. High levels of uric acid act as a direct toxin to the endothelial cells, the inner lining of your kidney's blood vessel. It chokes off the blood supply to the kidney tissue itself, causing the kidney to literally starve for oxygen and slowly die. You might not have diabetes. You might not be overweight. But if you are starting your morning with a commercial fruit juice, having a seemingly healthy sweetened yogurt for a snack, and putting a store-bought vinaigrette on your salad, you are bathing your kidneys in a slow, steady drip of uric acid. I want you to think about your future. I want you to look at your hands. Think about your family, your children, your grandchildren. The choices you make at the grocery store today dictate the freedom you will have tomorrow. Do you want to spend your retirement traveling, gardening, and enjoying the life you built? Or do you want to spend 3 days a week, 4 hours a day, sitting in a sterile clinic, hooked up to a dialysis machine, watching your blood be pumped through artificial plastic tubes because your own organs finally gave up? Kidney health is not a game. It is the absolute foundation of your vitality. Your body is incredibly resilient, but it has limits. By eliminating dark sodas, cutting out industrial canned sodium, managing your animal protein, avoiding the raw oxalate smoothie trap, and purging high fructose corn syrup from your cabinets, you are taking an immense burden off your internal organs. You are giving your kidneys the chance to breathe, to heal, keep filtering your blood efficiently for decades to come. Your health depends on this information. It is not too late to change course, but you have to start today. Please, if you found value in this, if this opened your eyes to the silent dangers lurking in your kitchen, hit the like button so this video can reach more people who desperately need to hear it. Leave a comment below telling me which of these foods you are throwing out of your pantry right now. And most importantly, subscribe to Longevity Lane with Dr. Mandell. Do not wait for a terrifying diagnosis to start caring about your body. Take control now. Protect your kidneys, protect your future, and as always, stay vigilant about your health. I will see you in the next video.